on, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready for some Texans football once again. We had our week off. It was an early bye week, but today we will be talking about the Texans Week 7 matchup up against the Seattle Seahawks. The injury reports not out yet, but if they get dropped during this live show, we're going to break it down for you here on Texans Today Live. We also got the latest news and rumors around the Houston Texans because ESPN insiders have been slinging around the Texans when it comes to the latest trade rumors around the NFL. We'll discuss that, and we'll have a little bit of fun here on today's program. So, to the over 50 people who tuned in to start this live show, can I get those H's down below? If you're excited for some Texans football today, we got producer extraordinaire Jack Lotteray on the ones and twos once again today. Rockin' Barbecue, Anthony Green, Tucker Inglet, Dominic Carter, all repping down in the comments section. Quentin Ford is here with us. Clifford Nowak is dropping his H. Brendan D'Souza is repping H-Town all day long. How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? James Gibson, Anthony Green, Kurt Matz, Justin Avery, all here, all ready to discuss some Texans football. Drop those H's down below if you're ready. Shout out to Hal. Just a quick water sip as we get going. 1TZ Cosmo, he knows the deal. He's getting the hashtag Texans already in. He's getting his questions in for our mailbag at the end of today's program. And a quick reminder, if you want to be featured on our mailbag on today's program, two ways to do it. Hashtag Texans in your comment, just like you saw 1TZ Cosmo do there in the comment section. Or if you want to skip the line, you can send in a super chat in. Got some great deals on tap for you today. Same deals we had last week. We're running it back because, hey, I thought last week's show was a lot of fun. It was a bye week, but we still were rocking out on today's show if you send in a super chat. Any super gets you up on screen as long as you're not acting a fool. And Jack Lotteray, he will be screening your super chat, so please be nice. Also, $5 super chat, which will also have more deals to get in on the Will Anderson Jr. autographed helmet raffle from Fanatics, JSA certified, so you know it's legit. We'll be raffling off this bad boy at the end of the month, so every $5 super chat you send in, you will get a chance to win this Will Anderson Jr. autographed helmet. And 2 for 2 in weeks of doing my Texans Today helmet mailbag. If we get to $100 in total on today's stream, I will do the last segment, our Texans Today mailbag, in this helmet. And a reminder, if you send in a 20 or above, you get a chance to win this bad boy once we fill it up. We have the Texans Today helmet stickers on our Texans Today Hall of Fame helmet. Once it's filled up with the Chat Sports stickers, we will be sending this bad boy out to anybody who has a helmet sticker. So, as we get started, all of the fun, all the stuff to go on today's show. And one of the segments that we're going to be getting into on today's program is my keys to victory up against the Seattle Seahawks. Let me know down in the comments section. What's your biggest key to victory up against Seattle? The keys, a Monday night, late night Monday night game. It's 9 o'clock Central Time. Not kidding. Not a typo. 9 o'clock Central Time on Monday night because it's the doubleheader for Monday Night Football in Seattle. Let me know your biggest key to victory. The Texans, they've had plenty of time to game plan, to get ready for this primetime matchup. I expect this team to come out and show out. Let's see. Rockin' Barbecue says, run the ball and protect Stroud. You might be interested with some of my keys. If you're saying run the ball, you might be interested in some of my keys because I'm actually thinking the opposite. But I'll tell you why that's the case later on in today's program. O-line performing well. I do agree. That's a massive part of this game is the offensive line going up against that Seattle front seven. That's going to be a major key to this game. Zach Rose says Stingley is the key. Got to stop JSN. I agree. First play, deep ball, take a shot. Anthony Green, I love the way you think. I would love to test that Seahawks secondary. And part of the reason why I wanted to break down the injury report is because Seattle has a ton of guys from their secondary that missed last week that I'm guessing is going to be on the injury report for this week, as VW Blue Sky getting in with the $10 super chat. Just win. You had all day and 2 weeks to prepare for this Monday night game. Key to the game, offensive line and coaching. Don't let us down, coaches. I agree. The coaching staff, they got to step up. They got to make sure that this squad is ready. Nick Caley, first-year offensive coordinator, first-time play caller, he's got to come out with a hell of a script. And if I'm the Texans, you know what? I'm getting too much into it. I'll save a little bit of it for my Texans key to victories. But my guy, VW Blue Sky, you're getting 2 raffle tickets in for our Texans Today raffle with the Will Anderson Jr. helmet. Let me pull up that doc so I can make sure to get you your raffle tickets. Mr. Blue Sky. Where are you at? Here we go. VW Blue Sky getting 2 tickets in for the raffle. You know what, VW Blue Sky, since you were the first super chat on today's show, I'm actually going to give you 4 tickets for that one. VW Blue Sky getting us kicked off here, right? I actually have another random question I asked y'all last week, and I think it's gaining some momentum. Next Tuesday is the start of the NBA season. The Rockets take on the defending champion, the Oklahoma City Thunder. My simple question to you, would you tune in if I did a Rockets watch party? For night 1 of the NBA season, the first game, the first time as OKC races their banners for that championship last year. Let me actually get my fan going. I'm a little hot in here. Would you tune in if we did a Rockets watch party here on the channel? Let me know, yes or no, because I'm in the middle of convincing my bosses to do just that. I want to go live for the Rockets' first game of the season. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. And I was like, you know what? It's on a Tuesday night. It has, nothing against with the Texans and what their, schedule is like for next week. I'm kind of down. I kind of want to do it. I see Justin says yes. VW Blue Sky, Dominique, especially when the NFL season is over, from Ozzy. That's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe big games here and there during the year, but once the NFL season's over, I would be down to maybe do a couple more games. If, the Rockets got into the playoffs, maybe James Gibson, soft launch a Rockets channel as James Gibson getting in for our raffle. I believe in keeping it balanced, but we need to stretch the field. Got to put the helmet on. Just saying, here's the start. Let's go. James Gibson trying to keep the streak alive. We are 65 away from me wearing the Texans Today Hall of Fame helmet during our mailbag, the third segment on today's show. Christopher, that's a good point. He said, this is Texans Today, not Rockets Return. I might be, maybe soft launching a Rockets channel here at Chat Sports. You never know. We have a good amount of NBA channels. We have a Lakers channel, a Warriors channel, Mavs, Knicks, Celtics, 76ers. Probably missing one. Heat, Bulls. There we go. Producer Jack Lauderay, he knows what's up. But James Gibson getting in. Let me get you your tickets. And, you know what? James Gibson, I see you right here. I'll give you an extra ticket for that one. I'll give you 6 instead of 5 because it is a Wednesday after all. And I appreciate each and every single one of y'all for clicking into today's stream. I also, James, owe you another helmet sticker for this bad boy. I did leave the stickers, though, on my desk. So I will do that after the show. I will make sure you get in via my spreadsheet to be a chance or to have a chance to win that Texans Hall of Fame helmet. There we go. As a reminder, 2 great super chats that I think we can actually use during the mailbag, Jack. I think those were pretty good questions that we can recycle to go back. Hashtag Texans, or just like VW Blue Sky, just like James Gibson, you can super chat to make sure you get on screen. But if you have a question around the Texans, around the Seahawks, around Week 7, around the NFL, maybe around all these trade rumors, I don't know if you're on X, Twitter, but Rickey Scoops reappeared for about 2 hours today to drop some bombs. Let me know if you have any questions. You can use hashtag Texans to get up on the show, or like my good friends VW Blue Sky, James Gibson, you can super chat. Lightning McQueen, ka-chow! Yes, you can get a shout out. Of course you can. Of course. And producer Jack Lotteray is telling me in my ear right now, we got to get to 40 likes to start this bad boy, to start this show. So if you can, hit that like button. Let's get started with our first segment on today's show. I thought before we did the keys to victory, I wanted to break down some of the rumors that I've been hearing around the Houston Texans. Adrian says, CLHS class of 18, didn't realize how close. Hey, yeah, Clear Lake, class of 2015, lean, mean, class of 2015. There we go. Once a Falcon, always a Falcon, Adrian. Shout out to you, my good sir. Yep, I should have brought that up. No, you're good. We're still 2 likes away as I see Lightning McQueen getting his questions in. Make sure you use that hashtag Texans. Like the video so we can get this show on the road. Appreciate. Yeah. Just the rumor list and rumor explainer. Anthony Green saying hit that like button. All right, we got to 40 likes. We're at 41. So here in a moment, we will start our first segment. I'll be discussing the latest Texans news and rumors on tap for you today. And as I mentioned at the top of the program, ESPN insiders, they love mentioning the Houston Texans right now when it comes to the latest trade rumors. And one ESPN insider in particular said the Texans are targeting a certain position. Maybe a lot of y'all will be very happy when it comes to what the Texans do during the trade deadline, because these ESPN insiders are correct. Texans might end up getting somebody, I don't know, maybe like a Breece Hall. So we got to 40 likes. Anthony Chuggs, are you coming down with the cold? No, I'm not coming down with the cold. I hope not. I've been trying. I've been, taking some vitamins, some multivitamins and stuff. I know. I've been trying. Hey, people in the office have been a little sniffly lately, so I'm trying my best. I am trying to stay more hydrated because I feel like I haven't been drinking enough water throughout the day. But ASO says, yo, Chuggs, what's up? What's up, my guy? How we doing? All right, we got to 40 likes. So now let's start off our show with the latest Houston Texans news and rumors. Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and on today's show, are the Texans trading for a running back? Also, did they consider moving on from Money Mills? And Kamari Lassiter, is he the X factor for this Texans defense? Is he the straw that stirs the drink, the unsung hero of this Texans secondary? I'll break down all these Texans storylines on today's program. But before we go any further, before we take another step, we are currently losing to our Seattle Seahawks channel in subscribers this month. And funny enough, I actually did some digging. It's close to about 50%. It's 50-50 between people who watch my videos who are subscribed and unsubscribed. So if you could help me out, hit that sub button. It's 100% free. And I'm trying to beat our Seahawks channel on and off the field this week. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long. My promise is always this. Give me 1 week to prove to you why this is the #1 Texans channel on YouTube. If you don't like it, unsubscribe, all good. But I guarantee you, you will love this Texans community and this Texans channel. Before we go any further as well, If you're brand new to the show, this is how we break down our stories and rumors on Texans Today. We use a Toro heads meter. So if I give something 0 head, fake news, that means it's not happening. 1 Toro head, small shred of truth. 2 Toro heads, people are talking. 3, it's pretty likely. And if I give something 4 Toro heads, H-Town, hold it down. It is going down. So let's talk about the first story on today's show. The Texans, are they trading for a running back? I've been the one saying, we don't need a running back. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. But I'm going to give it 2 Toro heads. And it's because whenever multiple insiders, whenever multiple people are coming out and saying the Texans are looking at trading for a running back, my ears are going to perk up and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen and I'm going to see what they have to say. And ESPN's Dan Graziano said just that in an article he dropped this morning. Teams, I expect to have interest in acquiring a running back ahead of the deadline include, but are not limited to the Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans, and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I have been team don't trade for a running back. I know a lot of people out there want Breece Hall, want one of these running backs to maybe bolster this Texans running back room, but I'm going to kick it over to you right now. I know a lot of y'all already wanted to trade for a running back, but after the recent reports from ESPN saying the Texans are in fact looking at running backs, what do you think? Should the Texans trade for a running back? Give me a yes, give me a no down in the comments section. If you get hit with the YouTube ad break here, all good. Scroll on down and let me know your answer. Should the Texans trade for a running back? This one's tough for me because I really like Woody Marks, and I think Nick Chubb is a good 1-2 punch back. I don't know if the Texans necessarily need to trade for a running back, and my answer is going to be yes, but only if it's for a 5th or a 6th round pick. I don't want to give up any of our premier draft capital in the first 4 rounds of the 2026 NFL draft, especially if we're going to have to go on top and maybe pay one of these guys as well, or spend some of our cap space on a running back. I will say, if the Texans trade for a running back, I think he's done for the year. I've been the one to say I think Mixon has a chance to come back in December. If you look at the timeline when he got injured and how everything's played out, I really believe Joe Mixon will be available to come back in December. But if the Texans go ahead and make a move for another guy, they already have 4 running backs on the roster. They have Jawar Jordan on the practice squad. You add another one, there's really no room for Joe Mixon on this team this season. And Schefter listed 4 running backs in his trade article earlier this week that he thinks could be on the move or are available for teams that need one. He said Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Jalen Wright, and Devon Singletary. All names that he thinks could be on the move before the NFL trade deadline. Reminder, November 4th, right after Week 9. I think the Texans, they're in a good spot right now, and my whole thing is, if you trade for a running back, I think that kind of hinders Woody Marks. You have kind of this lightning in a bottle. You have Woody Marks, who played really well up against the Tennessee Titans. I don't think he played bad up against the Baltimore Ravens either. I think he has a lot to prove. He has a lot of juice in those legs, and I want to see what this Texans team has. Nick Chubb has played well as well. I mean, he's averaging more than 4 yards a carry. Not too shabby. I like this Texans running back room. I don't know if this coaching staff or front office loves it as much as I do, and maybe they're looking to add another running back via all the reports from ESPN. That's why I'm giving it 2 Toro heads on today's show. Next story on the program. Did this front office consider trading Money Mills? Well, I'll tell you about that in just a moment, but couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. On Prize Picks, how you play, it's up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. And for the Texans primetime matchup, this is the lineup that I have laid out for you. Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's going to be a big matchup between him and Derek Stingley. Give me the less on his receiving yards at 83.5. I'm taking a demon pick here with Nico Collins. That means it's a little tougher, but I think Nico can hit pay dirt. Give me the more on 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. And then Sam Darnold, 229.5 passing yards. Give me the less. This Texans defense is on a roll, and I think they'll continue that here this week. You can use my lineup, or you can make your own. Just do it over on Prize Picks today. And one of my favorite things about Prize Picks is I always worry about, what if this guy gets injured? What if this guy sits out the rest of the half? You don't have to worry about that. Prize Picks offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. No one else is doing that. That's why I absolutely love me some Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. One Toro head. I'm giving it. One Toro head in that there was a report that a team did reach out in terms of looking at Davis Mills. This coming from Ian Rappaport on X. The Bengals exhausted QB search, including calling nearly all teams with 3 quarterbacks or viable practice squad options. Among the names that they inquired about, Davis Mills, first name listed, Sam Howell, and Derek Carr, who's currently retired. Very interesting. They also checked in and kicked the tires on Ryan Tannehill. And the reason I wanted to discuss this is because obviously if Rapp is putting this out, if the Bengals, are giving this information to Rapp, they called the Texans and asked about Davis Mills. And I wanted to take a quick look at the trade that ended up happening between the Bengals and the Browns. It was Joe Flacco going from the Browns to the Bengals and basically a late round pick swap. The Browns get a 5th and the Bengals get a 6th. And I thought to myself, well, Jeremy, if I changed this out for Davis Mills, would I be happy? Because I imagine that's what the Bengals were looking at. They were looking at any option for a, late round pick swap, a 6th for a 5th. Would I be okay if the Texans traded Davis Mills for a late round pick swap? Hell no. I would be so mad if they went ahead and traded Mills for that compensation, because he is a reliable backup. The Texans, they already extended him for next year. I think it makes no sense if you're the Houston Texans, because if anything were to happen to Stroud, even if he only had to miss a game or two, you're telling me now I have to look at Graham Mertz and say, hey, you're the guy, you're the QB1 that we expect to go out and get us a dub this weekend. No, I don't think Mertz is nearly ready to play an NFL game, a regular season game at that. I think the Texans would be screwed if they got rid of Davis Mills and anything happened to CJ Stroud. He is a reliable backup. There's a reason why the Bengals wanted to call him up, because if he needed to start for you, if he's starting for a team, people feel comfortable with that. The Texans would feel okay with that if they needed to start Davis Mills for multiple games. So I'm glad the Texans turned it down. I'm glad the Texans said, no, we're good. We'd rather keep Davis Mills. I mean, if it was for something far-fetched like a 2nd or 3rd round pick, maybe I'm or a 2nd for sure. But if a 3rd round pick, I'm considering, I'm like, yeah, but anything less than that, I don't think it really makes sense for the Texans to go ahead and move on from Mills. But what say you, though? I know a lot of people are part of the Mills Mafia, a lot of Davis fans out there, so let me know. Would you have made that Browns trade with Davis Mills? Give me a trade or give me a pass down in the comment section. Personally, I would pass. I would be I'm good on that. Let me know your thoughts down below on whether or not you would have traded Davis Mills to the Cleveland Browns. As we get into our last story on this program, Kamari Lassiter. See the X factor for this Texans defense? 3 Toro heads, and I think he is. I talked about it earlier this week, and a lot of people are highlighting the matchup between Jackson Smith-Njigba and Derek Stingley. But a lot of people aren't thinking about the guy on the other side, which is Kamari Lassiter. And one of his teammates was actually giving him praise earlier this week. This is what Xavier Hutchinson, Texans wide receiver, said on the most underrated Texan. I would probably say Kamari. With Sting being who he is, you forget about the other corner on the other side who can do basically the same thing that Sting does. I feel like Kamari definitely needs his flowers. He shows up every day. He's a dog as well. And I agree. Kamari Lassiter, even though, his rookie season, I don't think he got the flowers he deserved, and then started a little slow for the start of this regular season, but the past couple games, he's turned it on, and you can tell the difference in this Texans defense when number 4 is playing well versus whenever he's struggling a little bit. Let's look at the first 2 games versus the past 3 games for Kamari Lassiter. I really do believe that the big factor in the Texans defense has been number 4 on the other side. The first 2 games, 9 targets, 8 receptions on those 9 targets, 74 yards allowed, 2 touchdowns allowed, no pass breakups, no interceptions. Then we take a look at the past 3 games for the Houston Texans. He's been targeted 17 times, 10 receptions, 91 yards, no touchdowns allowed, 2 pass breakups, and an interception. He gets this Texans defense going because you know you can trust Derek Stingley on the other side. So if you can trust your guy Sting shutting down one side of the field, and then Kamari Lassiter is doing what he does, this Texans defense is golden, and so far in 2025, they lead the NFL in points per game allowed at 12.2. They are 4th in the NFL in total yards per game, 5th in the NFL in passing yards allowed per game, 7th in rushing yards allowed per game, and they're tied 10th with takeaways. The one part of this defense that I think needs to step it up a little bit, or maybe can, help propel this defense even better, is getting some more takeaways, but we know that kind of fluctuates from year to year. You played a lot of good quarterbacks to start the year in Baker Mayfield, and you also played Matt Stafford, who both those guys, I would say, are playing like top 5, top 10 quarterbacks so far during the 2025 season. So this Texans defense is top 10 in a ton of categories, and that has to do with a lot of their playmakers, especially guys like Kamari Lassiter stepping up, and he'll definitely need to step up this week if this Texans defense wants to shut down the Seattle Seahawks. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you want to hit me up on X, you can do so at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open, and if you made it to the end of the video, we're doing something right. Hit that subscribe button for daily Texans content all year long. You know we got you covered here on Texans Today. And we're clear. There we go. Confidence level in the Texans getting a dub this week. Give me a scale, 1 to 10. 1, you think we're going to lose. You think they might as well just chalk it up as an L. If you're giving it a 10, you think the Texans are going to go out and dominate on Monday Night Football. Let me know down in the comment section, as we did get another super chat from Rockin' Barbecue. Hell yeah, Rockin'. Hell yeah, Rockin'. We got a 10 from Pick 6, 3 from, oh, wow, really, a 3? James Gibson giving it a 7. Andrew says an 8. Brendan says a 5. Rockin' says I'm still going to give it an 8. Pick 6, Sting, 2 INTs. Hey, I hope so. Rockin' Barbecue. It's time for Stroud to prove he's the man. The O-line needs to open up holes for Chubb and Marks. That line needs to eliminate penalties and finally protect C.J. Stroud. Yeah! I agree. The offensive line needs to step up, and this might be its toughest test so far this year. Rockin' Barbecue. Let me know down in the comment section, what's your favorite barbecue side? You had to pick a barbecue side. What would it be, Rockin' Barbecue? Obviously, you look like a pit master yourself. Are we going baked beans, mac and cheese, coleslaw, potato salad? Jack, I know you're not from Texas, but I know you love some barbecue. You've been here for 5 years, so let me know. What's your top barbecue side? If you're going to a barbecue restaurant, what's the side you're getting? Mac and cheese and coleslaw? Okay. Coleslaw is something that you really appreciate as you get older, because as a kid, I would never get coleslaw. But as an adult, I'm like, you know what? I have all these heavy meats, everything. I need something like lighter to kind of mix it up. Texas-style baked beans. Oh. Yeah. Better food, Texas or Arizona? It's Texas. You don't have to out yourself. You don't have to out yourself. A lot of people going baked beans down in the comment section. Mac and cheese, but coleslaw and greens are also good. Dirty rice, baked beans all day. Love it. Depends on the barbecue. Pulled pork and coleslaw bomb. Oh, I love a good pulled pork sandwich. Rockin' Barbecue got a couple raffle tickets, and so did VW Blue Sky. VW Blue Sky as well. And I always tell you, this Monday night is a huge game. My score, 23-21. Texans over the Seahawks. Side of beer. Side of beer. I always tell you during our live shows, if you show up on Wednesdays, I'll give you opportunities to get free raffle tickets because I know not everybody can spend money. Not everybody can super chat. If you want a chance to win this Will Anderson Jr. helmet raffle, I'll do this deal right now for all the people watching the live show. If you share the video on X and tag me at Jeremy Chuggs, just so I can see that you shared the video, make sure you share the video, the live show, and then tag me at Jeremy Chuggs. I'll go ahead and give you a free raffle ticket for the Will Anderson Jr. helmet raffle. I know not everybody, like I said, can spend money, but everybody can like the video. Everybody can share the video. It's 100% free. So if you want an opportunity for a free raffle ticket, I'm all about the people here. I'm all about y'all. I wouldn't be able to do this show if it wasn't for my amazing fans. Everybody out there, all the Texans Today listeners, y'all make this kind of show go on the road. So if you want a free ticket, that's your opportunity. Share today's video. Tag me at Jeremy Chuggs. As Paisano saying barbecue plus beer over everything. Felly says, greetings from Germany. Greetings, Felly. I actually got another viewer from Germany, Krautsky. I haven't seen her today, but she's a very loyal watcher of Texans Today. Actually, she won one of our raffles. We ended up sending her a CJ Stroud. It was going to be a CJ Stroud jersey, but we got her the woman's CJ Stroud jersey for her figure. But Breece Hall, please, from William Johnson. I've been on the Texans aren't going to trade for a running back train, but Adam Schefter kind of alludes to a lot of trades going down. Dan Graziano then comes in over the top and says the Texans are one of 3 teams he's heard that are inquiring about running backs on the trade market. I don't know. I kind of have a feeling it'll be a defensive low-scoring game. That front 5 is crazy. Yeah, actually, the starting lineup graphic that I have, Jack, that shows the Seahawks front 5 against our front 5 on the offensive line. The starting lineup graphic that I have in there, that shows the Seahawks starting front 5 against the Texans starting front 5. It's going to be a tough matchup. I actually covered Byron Murphy in high school. He's from the DFW area. He's very good. Leonard Williams, they traded for from the New York Giants. He's fantastic. DeMarcus Lawrence, they added in free agency. The longtime Cowboys player has still got some juice left in the tank. Uchenna Nwosu has been a guy who they added and has brought in, a versatility as a, pass rushing specialist per se. And then Jaron Reed as well. He's a solid defensive lineman. So their front, and especially they have a defensive-minded coach as well, and Mike McDonald, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Rockin' Barbecue, I'm the same way. I'd rather the Texans go after a tight end as well. I'd much rather the Texans go after a tight end on the trade market. I think part of the reason why the Nick Caley offense got off to such a slow start is because of all the injuries to the tight ends. Remember, during training camp, during preseason, we were hearing so many good things about Brevin Jordan, about Cade Stover, and this offense and them moving the ball down the field using those 2 guys. Cade Stover injured the first game. Brevin Jordan injured in preseason, out for the year. So the fact that you took away 2 major receiving threats from the tight end spot, and then now you're kind of relying more heavily on rookies and Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins to kind of get some of that receiving production, I think it's kind of made this Texans offense start off on the wrong foot. So I wouldn't mind them. I wouldn't mind them looking more at the tight end route when it comes to the trade market. James, Stroud has to be quick off the snap, getting rid of the ball, make the reads, get up the field, positive yards will be prime. I'm actually really glad you said that, James Gibson, because coming up, I have my Texans keys to victory, and I think you'll agree with a lot of the stuff I had to say. I actually talked with our Seahawks host, Will Ortner, and he kind of gave me an insight to kind of how the Seahawks have done so far, some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses. I took that. I looked at some of the statistics throughout the first 6 weeks of the NFL season, and I also look at what the Texans do well and what they don't do well. And all those things mixed together is kind of how I came up with my Texans keys to victory and what I think the Texans need to do here in Week 7 if they want to win this matchup. So shout out to everybody out there. We're 3 likes away from 70 likes. So if you haven't already, hit that like button. What was that? Oh, yeah. Also, get your questions in. If you want to get on the show, hashtag Texans or Super Chat. We're also $50 away from me doing the mailbag in the Texans Today helmet. I've been 2 weeks in a row. Doing my mailbag in the Texans Today helmet. So can we make it 3 weeks in a row? We're $50 away. Maybe we do it. Maybe we don't. I will say it's very hot in that helmet. So Texans Sally said we are 2-0 whenever I wear the helmet on mailbags. I'm just saying. We are 2-0 whenever I wear the Texans Today helmet. All right, coming up, my keys to victory up against the Seattle Seahawks. Once again, I talked to our Seahawks host, Will Ortner, kind of went behind enemy lines and saw their weaknesses and how the Texans might be able to exploit some of those weaknesses here in Week 7. Jack, we good to go? And if we want to, we can use the other lineup that I have in there, the basketball one for this one. Change it up a little bit. Oh, yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Oh! Alberto Serrano from the top rope. What up, Chuggs? Just getting off work. Won't be commenting much since I'm driving, but I will be listening to you on the road again. Alberto's just on the road again. Let's go. All right, so the helmet lives. We're wearing the helmet for another week. Alberto getting a shit ton of tickets here for our helmet raffle. And you know what? Because Alberto's such a G, I'll do this. Since Alberto's such a G, I'll do this. Spam Alberto. I'm giving away 3 free raffle tickets to people watching right now because Alberto's a freaking legend. 3 raffle tickets. Like the video, spam Alberto if you want a free one on today's program. As we got our Seahawks host, you might have to get on your knees to get in the shot. Seahawks host Will Ortner. I don't know. I'll say this. Good guy, but I guarantee pass sets one-on-one, I'm getting past him. I'm getting to the quarterback. I'm getting to the hey, I'm grab and I'm rip. I'm grab and I'm rip. I'm ripping through. Yes, sir. All right, 3 free tickets. I'm going to give one to Texans Tally. I'm going to give one to Benjamin. And I'll give one to Christian Cortez. There we go. Yeah, the Seahawks guy doesn't have a cool helmet like I do. And then, Santan, we got Suavemente in the building as well. Exploiting weaknesses sounds like a plan. Hey, we got to be tactical here. We got to be surgical here at Texans Today. That's what we're doing. We're trying to dice up this Seahawks team. Whatever we need to do to come out with the victory. All right. Alberto, a freaking legend, got some free tickets for the people. He got a bunch of tickets as well. And I will, for the 3rd week in a row, wear the Texans Today helmet during my mailbag. And funny enough, I'm actually on X right now, and I just looked down. The game picks came in for NFL Network. Everybody besides one person picking the Seattle Seahawks to win next Monday. Yeah, I was hoping it would be a clean sweep, everybody going for Seattle, but hey, we're underdogs. That's what we do. H-Town, we pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we shock the world, and hopefully the Texans are going to be able to shock the world here against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Yoda Jenkins, Sherry Williams, she says, Mama, I made it. All right, here we go. Let's get into my keys to victory up against the Seattle Seahawks. Week 7, a pivotal game for your Houston Texans as they go on the road to face the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Can your Houston Texans shock the world? And not a typo, this game is going to start at 9 o'clock Central Time on Monday. It's a doubleheader, so make sure, stay up late, get your energy drinks, because we will be going live and we will be going wild for this Texans Week 7 matchup here on the channel. Make sure to set your alarms. We'll be going live an hour before kickoff. And I have a special deal for everybody watching the program today. On this video, if you predict the score of the Texans versus Seahawks game correctly and you're watching my live show on Monday night, you're getting a free raffle ticket for a giveaway. So if you want a chance to get a free raffle ticket for, actually I have it right here, a Will Anderson Jr. autographed helmet. We're raffling this off at the end of the month. If you get the score prediction correct on this video, that is a free raffle ticket. So shoot your shot. Only one. I only want to see you give one score prediction down in the comments section. If you get it right, get a free raffle ticket. I think that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. So coming up, my 5 keys to victory up against the Seattle Seahawks. First up, you got to attack their outside corners. And as the time I'm filming this right now, Wednesday, I go live every Wednesday at 3:30 Central Time. No injury report yet for the Seattle Seahawks. But Julian Love, Devon, Witherspoon, and Woolen, all questionable as of the time I'm filming this right now. They all were not available in the Seahawks Week 6 game up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that left Texans fans, you might remember this name, Shaquille Griffin, as their starting outside cornerback up against the Jags. And if that's the case, if he's starting up against the Houston Texans, we got to exploit that. We got to go ahead and attack those outside corners because the front 7 for the Seahawks, it's scary. They're really good. They have a great defensive line. They have a good linebacking core. But without key guys like a Devon Witherspoon, a Rickey Woolen, a Julian Love, you got to attack the outside, and you got to maybe look at a guy like Nico Collins. And a little chat stats for you. The Seahawks defense over the past 2 weeks has allowed 637 passing yards against their opponents. Not good. One of the worst marks in the NFL for defenses. So if I'm looking at the Texans and I'm looking at this offense, I think this is a good opportunity, especially that should be 6. It's all good. This is an opportunity that the Texans really need to take advantage of because C.J. Stroud over his past 2 games, I just told you, 637 yards allowed by the Seahawks defense. Stroud over the past 2 games, he's been on one as well. He's thrown for 477 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QB rating of 134.4, 41 rush yards over those 2 contests for C.J. Stroud. This Texans offense, they can get a rhythm going, and they're going to need to score some points because the Seahawks offense, they've been on a little bit of a roll themselves. I don't think you're going to be able to win this game scoring less than 20 points. So if you want to put some points on the board, I think a good place to start is if you're able to attack those outside corners, especially if key guys like Devon Witherspoon, Rickey Woolen, Julian Love are going to be out in this Week 7 matchup. Now, if you're ready for C.J. Stroud to have another breakout game, like the video down in the comment section. Hit that thumbs up icon because we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the C.J. Stroud that we know and love, but I feel like we're on the precipice. I feel like we're right there because remember those stats that I showed you before over the past 2 games? You remember C.J. Stroud's rookie year up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Look at these stats. This is 1 game. He had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he threw for 470 yards, 71.4 completion percentage. That's the CJ I want to see this Monday night. And if that's the CJ you want to see as well, go down and hit that like button. I want to see the swaggy CJ. I want to see the CJ Stroud. Yeah, show up to Lumen Field on Monday night and shut up all the 12s in Seattle and lead our Houston Texans to a massive victory. I'm ready to see it. If you are too, go down and hit that thumbs up icon as we get into the next key to victory up against the Houston Texans. And you're probably thinking, well, Jeremy, you got to set up the run, right? You got to set up the run to get the play action for CJ Stroud, right? This is where you'd be wrong. My second key to victory, I talked with our Seahawks host, Will Ortner, and the Seahawks defense actually, you know how I told you that bad stat about their passing defense? They're actually the opposite in the run game. They're one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. Second in the NFL with allowing 79 rushing yards per game this season. So for the Texans, I think you've got to set up the quick passing game, get ahead of the sticks, because the running game, if you keep on going at it, maybe you'll get some big runs here and there, but this Seahawks defense has been stout up against the run, and that leads me to saying, first, second down, we got to stay ahead of the sticks. So I'm looking at these two guys in particular, Christian Kirk and Dalton Schultz. They've both been good in those short to intermediate routes. The Seahawks, they run a lot of zone coverage. So if you can have a guy like Christian Kirk in the slot, maybe find the holes in the zone, sit down for 5 and 6 yard gains here and there. Dalton Schultz be that safety blanket for CJ Stroud. Get those 5 and 6 yard gains. I want to see a ton of 2nd and 4s, 2nd and 3s, 3rd and 2s for the Houston Texans offense on Monday night. And I don't think you'll get that if you're running the ball. Because if you run the ball on first down and you lose 1, you lose 2, maybe you just get back to the line of scrimmage, well, you're already behind the sticks, and that's exactly where the Seahawks defense wants to have you, and then they can pin their ears back and rush the passer. You got to stay ahead of the sticks so then you can set up the quick run to then maybe trick them with the running game. If you're at 2nd and 3, 3rd and 3, you have the option to run with a guy like Woody Marks. And I think in a game like this where you're going to want to spread the Seahawks defense out a little bit, that leads a little bit more into Woody Marks' game than Nick Chubb. So I expect another good game out of Woody Marks, kind of like we saw in Week 4 up against the Tennessee Titans. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for the rookie out of USC to show his stuff, because this Texans O-line, they've got their work out for them this week. The Seattle Seahawks front 5 is scary. DeMarcus Lawrence has been awesome. Leonard Williams has been wreaking havoc. Same with Byron Murphy. Uchenna and Nwosu has been getting after the quarterback as well. So I really need this Texans team, this Texans offense to stay ahead of the sticks, get those good completions, take what the defense gets you, and keep moving the ball down the field. Now coming up, I have some more keys to victory now on the defensive side of the football. Let's look at this Texans defense that a lot of people are saying are one of the best in all the league. And speaking of the best, nothing but the best for our Texans today, viewers. And that's why we partnered with Prize Picks. They are the sponsor of today's program, because you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks, they put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season, maybe basketball season, baseball season, whatever season you want. They got you over at Prize Picks. And speaking of basketball, this is the lineup that I wanted to show y'all for the opening night games. Our Houston Rockets. Be going live here on the channel. You'll love it, and I know you'll love playing a little Prize Picks on that night too. Here's the lineup that I'm rolling with. Alperen Şengün, points, rebounds, and assists. Give me the more on 33.5. Amen Thompson, 12.5 rebounds and assists combined. I'll go more on that as well. Isaiah Hartenstein, the former Rocket. I'm going less on his rebounding. Kevin Durant, the newest Rocket, 25 points. Give me the more on that. And then they're giving you free money here, ladies and gentlemen. Steph Curry, he's going to score 1 point on opening night. And if all this hits, I'm cashing in big time, and so can you. If you use my lineup and join the millions of users that sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. So What's stopping you? Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right. My next key to victory, and we're flipping over to the Texans' defensive side of the football, it's the interior pressure, because the Seahawks' offensive line has been well, and they actually have a really good guard on their team, Graziano, who, if you watched this program, if you watched me leading up to the draft this year, I was really high on Graziano, the kid out of North Dakota State. But the other two interior guys, Anthony Bradford and Jalen Sundell, not as good. These are their PFF grades through the 2025 season so far. Overall, Bradford 47.9, Sundell 50.3. Run blocking 56.6 to 51.5. Pass blocking 21.7 to 51.7. 1 sack allowed for each of them, and Sundell 4 penalties. Bradford has none. But those two guys, that is definitely the weak part of this Seahawks offensive line and this Seahawks offense in general. And I think if the Texans, their interior defensive line, if they can get after it, I think that could cause some havoc for this Seahawks offense. I'm looking at you, Tim Settle, Mario Edwards Jr., Sheldon Rankins, Tommy Togai. Oh, and yeah, Danico Autry should be available for your Houston Texans as well this week. So if those guys, along with the edge rushers, we know Will Anderson, we know Danielle Hunter, they're going to get after it. It's going to be a good matchup between them two, Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, the tackles for the Seattle Seahawks. I think that'll be a good matchup, but on the interior, if you can get quick pressure up the middle, Sam Darnold, he's not the most mobile quarterback. If you can get after him, get up in his face early, I think that could be a huge key to victory for this Houston Texans defense. Now, the Texans, I think they have an opportunity to get after it this week, and I think they can rack up some sacks, especially with some of those guys in the interior. Maybe Danico Autry welcome back sack. Maybe Tim Settle keeps on getting after it. Tommy Togai has been showing out after he got that extension earlier in the season. So fill in the blank for me. The Texans will get blank sacks against the Seattle Seahawks. Is it 4, 5, 6, 7? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments section as we go to the next key to victory. You got to take away the chunk plays. That has been the Seahawks' bread and butter this season, and that's what's really propelled this Seahawks offense to scoring a lot this season. Last week, Week 6 up against the Jags, they were 1 for 12 on third down attempts. A lot of teams, if you're going 1 for 12, that means you're probably losing that ball game. Not a lot of teams are going 1 for 12 on third down and then parlaying that into a massive win. But the key has been they've been able to get the chunk plays. And maybe it's just if your team has blue, you've been getting chunk plays because all the blue teams have been absolutely killing it. These are the teams with the most chunk plays this year. That means plays that went 20-plus yards, either passing or rushing this season. The Cowboys lead the entire NFL with 26 chunk plays of 20-plus yards this year. Next are the Rams, Colts, the Bills, and then the Seattle Seahawks are sitting there at number 5 with 21 chunk plays this season. If the Texans, they can just keep them in front of them and force this Seahawks offense to convert on third downs, that's a win in my book. I think as long as you don't let JSN get behind you, as long as you make this Seahawks team earn it, get to third downs, and then convert on those third downs, make them punt. I think that is going to be a massive, massive key for this Texans defense to win this ball game for Houston come Monday night. If they're able to not let the Seahawks get massive plays of 20-plus yards and then keep the ball in front of them, get those third downs, and get to opportunities where your defensive line, your edge rushers, and your interior guys can pin their ears back and get after Sam Darnold, that's going to be a huge key for this DeMeco Ryans defense. And lastly, you got to take the crowd out early. One bad thing with this Texans offense and all the young guys is that I feel like they don't respond well, especially whenever the volume gets turned up, right? One game sticks in my mind last year. When the Texans visited the Minnesota Vikings, the offense was having so much trouble with the sound. They couldn't get the play calls right. There was so much miscommunication, so much confusion, so many mistakes by this Texans offense. And it's going to be loud on Monday night. The 12s are notorious for getting loud. They're going to be rocking in Lumen Field. So if I'm the Houston Texans, I might say, hey, give me the ball first and try to score that touchdown on the first drive, kind of quiet down the Seahawks fans a little bit, because as we look at the loudest NFL stadiums around the entire league, Arrowhead, this is per peak decibel units for each stadium. Arrowhead with the Chiefs, they're number 1. Then it goes Lumen Field, the Superdome with the Saints, and then US Bank Stadium. We had a ton of trouble here. That doesn't bode well if it's rocking and super loud here. So you got to take them out of it early. You got to, once you're up, put your foot on the gas pedal and don't let up. If this Texans team can do all 5 of those things, I believe they can shock the world and win on Monday Night Football. That's all I have for you on this Keys to Victory video. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And if you made it to the end of the video, drop those H's down below so I know you're a real one, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. There we go. 2 in the books for today. Name a sneaky player that needs to step up this week. Let me know down in the comments section, who do you think needs to step up? And I know everybody's going to say CJ Stroud. Yeah. I know a lot of people are probably going to say the offensive line. Give me a guy who we haven't talked about yet. Give me somebody who maybe not a, high profile name, but you think they need to have a good game to step up. I see a couple Christian Kirks. I agree. That was one of my keys. Remember, with the quick passing game, I think that's Christian Kirk's bread and butter. He's really good at sitting in his zone and, getting first downs and helping moving the sticks. I think that could be big for him. Jalen Knoll from Rockin' Barbecue. I like that. James Gibson says Higgins, the other rookie from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins. If Stroud shows up with a Mariners hat, I'm going to lose my shit. Guys, I know. I had to explain it to my mom, too. He's not a baseball fan, guys. He just wears them for fashion. But it's this, that, or the other. Condition Base says, Woody, Daniil Hunter from Tucker. JJ, he better not wear a Mariners hat. Hey. Dextra, I like that a lot. Juice Scruggs, he's kind of taken over as the starting left guard for this team. And I think it's going to be up to him whether or not the Texans make a major move at the NFL trade deadline. Because if he's not, showing that he can take over at that left guard spot and kind of hold it down and protect CJ Stroud, there's a couple options that this Texans team could look at near the trade deadline. The Cleveland Browns, their whole interior offensive line is apparently up for trades via Adam Schefter, Wyatt Teller, Joel Bitonio, and Ethan Posich are all up on the trade market. Same with Evan Neal from the New York Giants. And we talked about Jackson Powers Johnson earlier in maybe a week ago. About a week ago? About a week ago, we talked about Jackson Powers Johnson. So all those could be options, especially if Juice doesn't step it up. Condition based. Please, Texans, don't overcoach it. Overcoach. So you mean, don't try to do too much. Don't try to get cutesy. I could see that. I could see you don't want to outthink yourself and you want to just do the simple, do what you can do. I feel that. Santana, suavemente. Hey, Chuggs. If 16, for Texans fans out there that don't know, he's talking about Jacoby Myers from the Las Vegas Raiders, gets traded for my Raiders. I think we would be all in sellers. Anybody your Texans would want to inquire about, and at what cost? That's actually another good question for the mailbag coming up. We actually have a lot of good questions already for this Texans Today mailbag. Let me know down in the comments section. Santana Suave, he is a Raiders fan. He's from our Raiders channel here at Chat Sports. So Texans fans in the chat, let him know. Who would you want to get from the Las Vegas Raiders if they were having a fire sale? I said Jackson Powers Johnson, possibly a Dylan Parham as well, would be 2 guys who would be interesting. Who? Oh, no way. They would look at Ashton Genty. We are apparently looking for a running back. I think Raheem Mostert is probably more of the likely choice, but at that point, I would rather them just go and, Brock Bowers, for sure. Michael Mayer might be a better option. I don't think they're giving up Brock Bowers. I don't think they're giving up Ashton Genty. Yeah, Genty for a late round pick swap. That makes sense. Probably makes sense. But yeah, those are all guys. Those are all guys I think the Texans would look at. Dylan Parham, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Michael Mayer. I don't think anybody on the defensive side, though, Suave. I think we're kind of good on the defensive side. We're looking for a little bit of depth in the secondary, but it's kind of the weakest part of the Raiders' defense is their secondary. So I don't think any move can be made there. But good question there, Santana. BW Blue Sky, let Stroud call out of a play that he knows is going to get stuffed. Let him loose. Last key to the game. Normally, I agree with you, VW Blue Sky, but the only thing that worries me in this game, as I mentioned, the crowd noise. The Texans, they struggled so much up against the Vikings last year. I mean, I didn't really want to ever watch that Vikings game once again, but Brian Flores put on a clinic up against this Texans team, and they were just in disarray. They could do nothing last year when they played the Minnesota Vikings. So it worries me a little bit with the crowd noise and the communication along the offensive line, the receivers. There's just so many new guys, so many young guys that are on the field for us. Ooh. That I think I worry about. Who said it earlier? Getting a little bit too cutesy, a little overcoaching, condition-based. I worry about that a little bit. Dextra, we need the tight end from the Browns. David Njoku? Possibly. All right. If you want to ask a question, now is the last opportunity to do so. Hashtag Texans or Super Chat to skip the line. We actually have a lot of good Super Chat questions already. So we'll be able to go to a lot of those. And then we do have some hashtag Texans questions as well. Alberto said crowd noise. Yeah, exactly. Crowd noise equals penalties. They have to mute the crowd. That's why I said I would almost prefer the Texans get the ball first. Or if the Texans can go on defense first, if they defer to the second half and get a 3-and-out, that would be a good way to kind of get this crowd out of it to start this game. Can be a long night, guys. Like I said, it starts at 9 o'clock. So, also, I just remembered you probably have to read only the team card. I just don't think I changed the date on it. But will they? That's the question. The Texans are 2-3. But it's a team card left, so that won't show. Alberto said that's past my bets. Dude, I know. I think it is absolutely criminal that the NFL is having the Texans play at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, there we go. I mean, just imagine if you're an East Coast Texans fan. I know there's a couple Texans fans that are, outside of the state of Texas on the East Coast. That game's starting at 10 o'clock at night. That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane if you ask me. All right. Let me get a little sip of water before we get going. Big Shug, if we lose to the Seahawks, is it time to panic? Not time to panic, but it is a red flag. It is a major red flag for this season because then you drop to 2-4, and I think the most games you could lose is probably 7 and still make the playoffs. I think you have to go 10-7 if you want a chance to get a wild card spot. And the Texans have some tough games moving forward as well. They play the Chiefs later on. They play the Colts twice later on. Not going to be easy sledding for this Texans team. So they got to stack up some wins early. Christian Cortez, Aluminum. Yeah, this is actually my wife's company. Hal has a little bit of a partnership here with us at Chat Sports. Provides us with free water, and it's my favorite. So if y'all want to check it out, go to this link that I'm putting in the chat right now. If you want to try it out, that code Chat Sports, that'll give you 10% off. How water? Check it out. It's hyper pure oxygenated water. There's no microplastics. It's in a aluminum bottle, so it's 100% recyclable. It's hyper pure and it's oxygenated, so it gives you extra oxygen, helps you recover, helps you kind of, especially for me, whenever I get headaches or I'm nauseous or I feel like I'm just like super dehydrated, this helps me out a ton. So if you want, oh, my bad. There we go. Producer Jack helped me out with that one. I thought I had the HTTPS, but there we go. If you want to check it out, my wife's company, I absolutely love it. This is the water, especially if I'm going to, rehydrate, if I'm feeling a little bit down. It's good. It's really good. Yoda, how also means good in Chinese? Good water. Correct? Correct. All right. I am going to quit stalling, and I'm going to make like a Russian and quit Stalin. We're 3 for 3. 3 for 3 whenever we wear the Texans Today helmet. All right. Let's get into our Texans Today mailbag to infinity and beyond. Here we go. Here on the channel. Texans Today mailbag coming at you here. All the questions you're seeing are from our live show, October 15th. And thanks to one crazy SOB, Alberto Serrato. Once again, I'm wearing the Texans Today helmet. Good news. Texans are undefeated whenever I do mailbags in the Texans Today helmet. And if you want to be part of our mailbags, make sure to join us every Wednesday, 3:30 Central Time for our live shows here on Texans Today. And if you are watching right now live, hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get on the program. First question up from Rockin' Barbecue. It's time for Stroud to prove he's the man. The O-line needs to open up holes, and Chubb and Marks, they need to show out. That line needs to eliminate penalties and finally protect C.J. Stroud. I completely agree. The offensive line, they have a major test in front of them. The Seahawks, they got, I believe, 7 or 8 sacks up against the Jags in Week 6 that ended up being one of the major keys for them winning that game up against Jacksonville. The Texans' offensive line needs to show out, and I'm hoping, I'm praying that this is going to be the game that we see the vintage C.J. Stroud. This is the game that we see the C.J. Stroud that we all know and love, that we, call our franchise guy. This is the game that I want to see him show out on prime time Monday Night Football. Thanks for the question, Rockin'. Next up, condition-based. Please, Texans, please don't overcoach it. I get that. I get how you kind of want to play it safe and make sure you don't overthink it too much, right? You want to make sure this team has, the right head on their shoulders. And I think with DeMeco Ryans, especially since he's given up the defensive play calling duties. We've seen him be more of a, overall game managing head coach this year after he gave those play calling duties to DC Matt Burke. He's been kind of more on the offensive side, having his hands more in the cookie jar over there. I think it's helped this Texans team a ton. So I agree with you, condition-based. You can't overthink it. This Texans team, they need to get down to the basics and try to win this ball game. Next up, from LeBronny James, Texans, do you think Darnold is better than Stroud? Ooh. That's a tough question because if you're telling me, like right now, who's playing better, I'm a homer, but arguably, over the first 6 weeks of the season, Sam Darnold has played better than C.J. Stroud. If you're asking me, who do I want on my team for the next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, it's 1,000% C.J. Stroud. Sam Darnold, he's a good quarterback. And I don't want to take anything away from, his kind of comeback. He was a top 5 pick with the New York Jets, flamed out, went to the Panthers, didn't work out there, kind of revitalized his career with the Minnesota Vikings. And, it's a really good feel-good story for him. But I still think C.J. Stroud has that it factor. You see those glimpses of greatness with C.J. Stroud where it's like, dude, this is a special player. I'm still rocking with our guy, C.J. Stroud. Let me know at the home, though. Who do you think is the better quarterback? SD for Sam Darnold or CJ for C.J. Stroud? I'll be looking down in the comments section. I want to see what you guys have to say. And as I mentioned, For me, it's C.J. Stroud. I am a Stroud believer. Give me the guy, C.J. Stroud, yeah, as my franchise quarterback. Next question up, coming in from Santana Suavemente. Hey, Chuggs, if number 16 gets traded for my Raiders, I think we would be all in sellers. Anybody your Texans would want to inquire about. I actually already did a video around Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that would be a good kind of fit for this Texans team, especially if they need more help on the interior. I really don't see the two sides coming to an agreement between the Raiders and the Texans because Jackson Powers Johnson, I don't think the Raiders are going to trade him away. Tight end, I don't know if they want to get rid of Michael Mayer, and that's the only guy who I think the Texans would want to pursue. Let me know, though, down in the comments section, are there any Raiders that you would want to trade for from the Houston Texans? Now, next up, VW Blue Sky. Let Stroud call out of a play that he knows is going to get stuffed. Let him loose, the last key to victory for VW Blue Sky. That was what was discussed all offseason, right? Giving Stroud more control over the offense, giving him the keys to the castle, giving him, the reins to do what he wants to do. We haven't seen it as much through the first 5 games of the Texans season. I am a little bit worried, though, with the crowd noise at Lumen Field in Seattle. They get super loud. If he tries to, change too many things at the line, I think that could lead to some penalties, either false starts or delay of games. So I do want to see him take more control of the offense, but he's got to be smart about it. If the play clock's running out, maybe sometimes it's better to get a 2 or 3 yard gain up the middle than get a 5-yard penalty for a delay of game or whatnot, right? Right? We have more questions coming up in just a moment, but I couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsor, Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks, it's simple. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money today. Join the millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. And for this week, this is the lineup that I'm rolling with. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. I think gonna get locked down by our guy Sting, so I'm going less on the receiving yards at 83.5. Nico Collins, gotta get paid with him. I want to see that Nico to Stroud connection again, so give me the more on 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. And then Sam Darnold, I'm going less than 229.5 passing yards. You can use my lineup or make your own. Just do it over at Prize Picks today. And speaking of using my lineup, a new feature on Prize Picks. You can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Get started today and download the app. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. To get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Not Nick Caserio. Definitely not Nick Caserio. It's definitely not him. Texans, should the Texans trade for Jacoby Myers? We actually had a Raiders fan in here earlier talking about Jacoby Myers and the possibility of him getting traded for the Texans. I just don't think it makes sense. There was the report by, the People's Insider, Rickey Scoops, earlier on Wednesday about the Raiders being open and looking for a trade partner for Jacoby Myers. He wants a new contract. I don't think it really fits the Texans. You signed or you drafted 2 guys in the first half of the draft at the wide receiver spot, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel. You also traded for a guy in Christian Kirk. I don't know if the wide receiver spot is the really position you need to upgrade. I would look at tight end. This is a good question, though, from producer Jack. What position would you want the Texans to add? Let me know. Is it wide receiver, running back, tight end, O-line? Is it on the defense? Maybe a safety, maybe a corner? Let me know down below in the comment section. What position do you think the Texans should add, if any, as we near the NFL trade deadline? All right, 1TZ Cosmo. Chuggs, what do you think the Texans should do to stop that Seahawks front 7, man, and ensure CJ has plenty of time to throw? I think staying on schedule, getting the ball out quick and having your guys like a Dalton Schultz, like a Christian Kirk, find those holes in the zone and don't be afraid to get 4 or 5 yards on first down. Get it, ahead of the sticks. Set yourselves up on 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3 from time to time. I think that's okay. And this Texans team, they like to run the ball. They like to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down. But this Seahawks team is 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game with just 79 yards allowed per contest. So if I'm the Texans, I'm not forcing it in the run game. If this Seahawks defense, if that's what they do best, why play into that? Why run the ball whenever that's what they do best is defend the run? Spread them out, and I think if you spread them out, if you get them a little bit early in the passing game, that's going to then open up the running lanes later on for a guy like a Nick Chubb or a Woody Marks. Good question, Cosmo. VW Blue Sky, any news on Mixon if you're ready? If you already answered, Skip. I haven't answered yet. No, but the recent reports from Dan Graziano from ESPN say the Texans have been inquiring about getting a running back near the NFL trade deadline. If that's the case, if they trade for, especially if it's a guy like Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, any of those guys, I think Mixon's done for the year. That would be the case. If they trade for a big name running back, just pack it up. No Mixon this year. That's my thoughts at least, because the earliest I think he can come back is in December, and that might be pushing it. And if they're already looking at running backs, if they trade for a running back, I think that's bad news for one Joe Mixon. Good question, though. Christian Tate up next. Do you think we have a legit defense or we just played bad teams? I mean, it helps when you play the Titans and you shut them out. It helps when you play the Cooper Rush-led Baltimore Ravens and, only give up 6 points. I do think this Texans defense is really good, though. You look at Tampa Bay. They squeaked out a win up against the Texans, and Baker Mayfield didn't look nearly as good as he has the past couple of weeks where he's been putting up 300-plus yards. I think this Texans defense is good. They held the Rams to, under, around 20, 21 points in week 1. In that high-flying offense with Puka Nacua, with Devontae Adams. They have Matthew Stafford. So they played good teams and held them low as well. It hasn't been like they've been blown out by these really good teams. Every game they've lost has been a one-score affair. So this Texans defense has played awesome this year. I just think Texans offense has gotten off to a super, super slow start. Robert Jimenez, hey, Chuggs, do you think the Texans should reacquire DeAndre Hopkins? Kind of the same conversation I just had about Jacoby Myers. It would be a feel-good story. Don't get me wrong. I think the Texans organization did Hopkins dirty and did us Texans fans dirty. They traded him for a bag of chips when he was a top 5 receiver in his prime. He's not that anymore. And, obviously he's playing for the Ravens, and they're kind of down and out of it, especially with the Lamar Jackson injury that's kind of plagued them. Would I like it? Yes. The memories would be flowing back from whenever I was a kid watching DeAndre Hopkins, watching him in Hard Knocks make D'Angelo Hall absolutely break his ankles. All those insane one-handed catches that he made as a member of the Houston Texans. The memories would be flooding back. But is it what the Texans absolutely need? I don't think so. Texans tally. Texans Today by Chat Sports. Do you think they'll keep rotating starters out late third or into the fourth quarter some more? I feel like that's helped minimize injuries so far. Yeah, the Texans have kind of been ahead of the injury bug a little bit this year. Knock on wood. Everybody, if you're at home, knock on wood for me saying that. But yeah, this Texans D-line, I think it also helps when you have a ton of talent in this Texans D-line. You have multiple defensive tackles that you can just rotate in. Danico Autry's coming back from injury this week, but you already have Mario Edwards Jr., Sheldon Rankins, Tim Settle, Tommy Togai. All 4 of those guys, I'd be cool with any of them starting. I think they're all really, really good players. On the outside, you have obviously the pass rushing duo, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr. They are premier. But even behind them, you have good guys that can step in. Derek Barnett, Darrell Taylor, Danico Autry can even step out and play a little defensive end for you as well. So I think rotating those guys, keeping them healthy, but on key downs, I want to see Will Anderson Jr. in the game. He is the best player, in my opinion, on this Texans team right now. So when the rubber meets the road, when the Texans need it, I want to see 51 out there on the field. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you missed our Wednesday live show, well, make sure you tune in every Wednesday live at 3:30 Central Time. I'll be here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications for the #1 Texans channel here on YouTube. There we go. Ooh. Yeah, it's a little hot. Little hot. Suavemente. Yeah, sorry. If anybody out there is having trouble super chatting, I know somebody sent an email. No, I know, but somebody had emailed us saying, somebody was sending us an email saying that they were having trouble super chatting and they didn't know if it was because we banned them or not. I don't think we did. If that's you out there, please let me know down in the comment section. We'll try to figure it out, but just know my bosses did receive your email, and we are trying to figure that out on our end as best as we can. Shout out to you, Suavemente. Sadly, my Raiders might end with about 6 or 7 W's. Yeah, you need Geno Smith to turn it around, and the worst part is their best offensive lineman, Colton Miller, I don't know how long he's going to be out. He has an ankle injury that kind of sidelined him for the foreseeable future. So 6 to 7 wins, I agree, but you can change that around this week whenever the Raiders face the Kansas City Chiefs. Another one from Suavemente, Alvin Kamara, maybe? I think that's an opportunity right there. The only problem is I have to look deeper into the contract. If the Texans are going to have to owe him a ton of money, I don't know how they'll – I mean, obviously every team each year, the New Orleans Saints, they find some cap gymnastics to make it work. But the Texans don't have a lot of money right now. They'll have to restructure some contracts, move some things around, maybe break open the piggy bank to see if they can pay some of these guys. But Suavemente, I would not mind Alvin Kamara here. Texans, it's hard to super chat depending on how the banks is set up. See, I got a checking and a savings account, and it takes a couple days to get from my savings to my checking. Shout out if y'all know who that joke is from. Shout it out down in the comments section. Thanks for the super chat, though, Mr. Suavemente. VW Blue Sky getting some more raffle tickets in. Just win. Hell yeah, VW Blue Sky repping. Where are you at? Where are you at, VW Blue Sky? Do we have that many tickets already? Oh, no, I'm in the wrong sheet. I was like, where are you? I was in someone else's super chat sheet. Here we go. VW Blue Sky. Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight. VW Blue Sky, an absolute legend here on the channel. Thank you so much. And everybody, we're getting to the end of the show. And I always say, the most valuable thing you have in life is your time. And the fact that y'all spent maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the whole show with us here, we've been live for what? An hour, 20 minutes? That means the world to me. So thank you to each and every single person that's clicked in to today's live. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And I always say, stick around to the end. It's kind of like Jack's our movie guy here. It's the end credit scene. You gotta stay tuned to the very end. So this is what I'm gonna do. Randomly, if you like the video, type me down below in the comment section. I'm going to have producer Jack pick out 2 lucky Texans Today viewers to get free raffle tickets for making it all the way to the end of today's video. So if you made it all the way to the end, you like the video, type me down below. Jack's going to give away some free raffle tickets. If you like the video. This is the Marvel's end credit scene. Jack is going to be Dr. Doom. And he's gonna be sitting there with what's the kid's name? The Fantastic Four kid, Franklin. Brendan D'Souza is getting one of them. Let's see who's gonna get the other one for making it to the end of the Texans Today live show. He said Texans tally because he's been repping all show long. And I do see a couple new names in there, so I'm also going to give one to Kathy Williams. Kathy Williams, thanks for stumbling upon Texans today. Don't know if you've watched our shows before, if you've been a longtime member, or this is one of the first times you've joined our live shows. But hey, I really do appreciate you a ton. Kathy Williams, you're also getting a free one. So I lied. I gave away 3 ones. I'm too nice sometimes. Sue me. Actually, don't sue me. Santana Suave, what would you offer for 98? Oh, for Max Crosby? The problem is, Suavemente, we don't need him. Like, it's not that he's not it's not that he's a bad player, because I think he's a top 10 edge rusher, top 10, edge in the NFL. You have Will Anderson Jr., you got to pay him. And I think Will Anderson Jr. is just as good as Max Crosby. I would put those two guys on the same level. So if you already have one of those guys and you already need to pay him, I want to get that figured out before we make any moves like that. So realistically, I think you'd have to put in a first-round pick, and for that being the case, I wouldn't want to do this move for the Houston Texans. I don't know if they necessarily need to make that kind of move. All right, we're all caught up on Super Chats. Reminder, we'll be live Monday night for the Texans versus the Seahawks. We'll be probably an hour or 30 minutes, depending on if I have an extra producer with me that night. We'll see. We'll be live before the game. We'll have some more Super Chat items, some more fun to discuss, and some more fun stuff to do. From me, from producer Jack Lotteray, that's been our Texans Today live show. Reminder, every single Wednesday, 3:30 Central Time, tell a friend to pull up here to Texans Today.